Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we are continuing our ongoing coverage of the Russia Ukrainian war. It is day 204 of the ongoing war. We have seen over the last 24 hours, Russian forces attempting to retaliate for the ongoing Ukrainian offensive that retook much of the areas to the north and east and southeast of the Kharkov region. We have seen Russian strikes on hydroelectric power stations near Kryvyi Rih. We have seen Russians continue to launch strikes against infrastructure targets, both transportation and power stations for the Ukrainian state, being used by the Ukrainian state. What is also interesting is the leader of Ukraine, Zelensky, has reportedly paid a visit to the frontline town of Izum, where he was involved in a motor vehicle accident. He is reported to be okay. But that is very, very interesting that the Ukrainian military, the Ukrainian political apparatus, is willing and has the ability to move the head of state from their capital, Kiev, and transport him all the way to the frontline city of Izum, located here. And that's not far from the line of contact. So, the question is, first, why? Why would Zelensky go to Izum? And at the same time, how are they able to do that? I got to tell you, it really shows that the Ukrainians have very little respect for Russian tactical air interdiction ability. If they were truly worried, meaning they, the Ukrainians, were truly worried about the capability of the Russian military to strike convoys, and especially key leadership convoys, such as Zelensky himself, and putting him at risk by putting him so close to the front line. I think you have to ask questions: is why did the Ukrainians do that? And then again, how are they able to do that? And I think it goes back to kind of what we've been seeing during this war, is in which we have to call in to question the ability of the Russian Air Force. I mean, do the Ukrainians believe that Zelensky is not a valid command and control target? Have the Russians under the table announced that they have no intent to harm Zelensky? I guess that's possible. The Russians have not launched strikes against key leadership targets in Kiev, and I do know that the Ukrainians, their state propaganda, act like in the early stages of the war there was a decapitation attempt made against the Ukrainian government, but that's not really the case, because we didn't see any cruise missile attacks on those key leadership sites in Kiev, and to this day we have not seen them. They have not occurred. But now you have this key leader, Zelensky, driving or going by train at least some part of the way. I would assume he did not fly, so most of it would have to be either by car or train, going from Kiev all the way to Izum, which is a lengthy trip, hundreds of miles, hundreds and hundreds of miles. But yet no concern They got him there, and then they got, albeit he was in a car accident, but they got him back somewhat safely. But again, that just, I think, goes to show you how the Ukrainians right now, at least from what I'm seeing, don't really respect Russian air power. And quite frankly, I have to question Russian capabilities in terms of their interdiction efforts against Ukrainian forces. I don't think we've seen, kind of going into this war, I had, I would say, greater expectations from the Russian Air Force, especially on the eastern bank of the Dnieper River. But we're not seeing it. And I think, again, a lot of that has to go with kind of what we're seeing in terms of direct U.S. assistance in this ongoing campaign, this ongoing war. The intelligence that is being provided by the United States is the amount of intelligence, the amount of planning, the amount of both tactical and strategic advice is probably unprecedented, and we're seeing it. And again, I think this recent trip by the Ukrainian president to Izum really kind of proves the point that there is just really zero respect for a lot of Russian capability. And when I mean respect, I mean if the Ukrainians had feared a Russian airstrike upon Zelensky, they probably wouldn't have done it. They probably wouldn't have allowed that visit to occur, but they did, and I think it's very telling of the situation on the ground, because obviously the Ukrainians are able to supply its forces in the east, and the Russians are not able to interdict a lot of those supply columns that are coming in from the west to the east. So I think there's going to be a very close microscopic look at Russian air capability, I think, going forward. And I think the Russians themselves really need to look inward and figure out, what went wrong. How did we get to this point? And obviously there was a massive gap from the collapse of the Soviet Union, where a lot of research and development just simply did not take place. But now, in terms of air power and air capability, it's glaringly apparent that that Russia is very, very far behind many of these Western nations, especially the United States, in terms of some of its capabilities. Obviously, it does have a very robust cruise missile capability. It has ballistic missile capabilities that are very, very accurate. But its ability to gain intelligence and get real-time sensor information from targets on the ground, you really have to wonder where the Russians are at in terms of that kind of capability. It's nowhere near the capabilities that the United States has at this point. They are far, far behind in this war. I think even proves that the Russians are now probably even further behind than we suspected, kind of going into this war. And that's going to be something that the Russians are going to have to patch up very, very quickly. Do they turn to China? Possibly. Are the Chinese any better? I would assume so. At least from what I've seen, they appear to be their manufacturing appears to be better, and they are fielding some systems that do appear to be much more advanced than some of the Russian systems in terms of capabilities. But that's kind of where we're at for today. Not a lot has changed on the ground. The Russians have hunkered down west of Lysychansk and Severodonetsk. Not a lot of change in that area. It looks like whatever the Ukrainians tried near Severodonetsk or south of Severodonetsk and around Donetsk hasn't really achieved any operational success at this time. And it looks like the Russians are reinforcing its positions in the areas that it currently controls right now. So we'll have to see what's next, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to come in the days and weeks ahead. Again, thanks for joining us today, and as always, have a good day.